So let me address something here to women. And now I want to address women there.
Yes.
Women out there, did you hear that? Dr. Rumbi is saying men who do self-care love better. Because I've heard so many men who complain that when we want to go and do self-care, so women out there, please make sure those men are going to do self-care and they'll love you better.
That's actually very true. Musawa sees it never done. Yes,
cool.
because the more you take care of yourself, you are actually more present mentally.
I am human, did not feel obey. Kutendere murume, I is emotion.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Waterman's Issues. Today we have got a guest who was on our program before, and I'm not going to introduce her much. I'll just let you know her name, and I believe you know her from our previous topic that we spoke to her. We are going to look at a topic called men's self-care, and we have got Dr. Rumbi Nyanhoto again today to be telling us about this self-care issue. The reason why we have her is because we understand women are very good in self-care. So we also want her to give us a perspective or an encouragement as men, how important or why is it important for us to also have what is called self-care. So she's probably going to be talking to us. And Dr. Rumbi, welcome to the program.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Before we get into so many things, I just wanted to ask you, what is self-care?
So self-care is as simple as the word.
Mm-hmm.
So taking time to do things that aid in your well-being. Taking time for yourself to do things or activities that gives value or aid into your mental, psychological, emotional, physical well-being.
Oh, okay. So your personal. This is
Yes,
personal.
this is personal.
Okay.
This is not that person and me. This is just personal.
Just me.
Yeah.
All right. So why is self-care important for men, particularly in the context of modern life?
Well, in the context of modern life, we know that modern life is busy life. That's what defines modern life. If we take the context of Australia or even anywhere around the world, we know that we are busy with work. We're trying to balance between the roles and responsibilities of the home and work. We are also trying to, and particularly for men, in our cultural spaces, you are the head of the house. And so you're trying to balance between being the head of the house, going, providing direction, all those type of things, and everything else that's happening around you. So it's important in the midst of all these things that I've spoken about to have some time for yourself.
Okay.
Yes.
So what are some common barriers that prevent men from prioritizing their self-care? Why do you think as men we don't prioritize our self-care?
So the number one is cultural perspective.
Okay.
Because you guys grew up when you were told that men are always tough. So you always want to present as tough.
Okay.
So cultural perspective is the biggest one, where you want to present as tough, you want to show that I don't have any weakness, and also some activities for self-care are deemed just self-care is for women. That's another perspective, self-care is not for men, those are issues for women. That's another thing. Another thing is just the personality, that men have got an ego in everything. So some people have got pride in accepting that I actually need to do something to care for my mental health or for my physical well-being or for my psychological well-being. So yeah, those are the main things. Yes.
So you spoke about mental health, you spoke about physical well-being. How does self-care actually affect a man's mental health or man's mental, emotional, and physical well-being? How does it affect it?
Oh, you mean when they do it, how is it positively?
Yeah. What are the effects of the men doing self-care to their mental health, physical health, and well-being?
Well, my favorite one is that you laugh better. You the way you express love.
Oh, so a man who does self-care loves better?
Yes.
Also, can you explain?
Because when you take care for us, you cannot pour from an empty cup.
Okay.
So the more you take care for yourself, the more you are able to give love to others. And women are waiting to be given this love. Okay. But it's hard to express yourself or to love very much if you are not practicing self-care. Because remember, we spoke about modern day.
So let me address something here to women. And now I want to address women.
Yes.
Women out there, did you hear that? Dr. Rumbi is saying men who do self-care love better. Because I've heard so many men who complain that when we want to go and do self-care, so women out there, please make sure those men are going to do self-care and they'll love you better.
That's actually very true. Yes, because the more you take care of yourself, you are actually more present mentally. You know, every time you practice some kind of self-care activity, you come back to yourself.
Okay.
So when you are more yourself, you can present more love than when you are not yourself.
All right. That's good.
And also another addition I wanted to put there is when you practice self-care, your mind is more refreshed, that you are able to bring in ideas. You know, I know men usually have the pressure of leading the home. Let's say, for example, there's no food at the table. The stress that a woman has and the stress that a man has may be different. For some men, because they are feeling, I am the man of the house, I need to provide. But when you take time for self-care, your mind will be more focused. You have more fresh ideas because you have taken care of yourself, either physically or emotionally.
All right. From your definition, I might actually have a problem because as a man, the moment you probably talk about self-care, can you give me some practical examples of practices that we can do in self-care?
Yeah. So let's first talk about your example of going to the soccer. Remember, we said that it's about you.
Yeah.
So the moment you find yourself always connecting with another activity, which is not a bad thing, because if going to soccer makes you feel good, that's good also. But we need men to come to a point where you really care about your mental health. You really care about your physical well-being. So maybe it could be an exercise routine.
Okay. So exercise is part of self-care?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Exercise is part of self-care.
Because the problem that we think, normally when you women put on your statuses and say self-care, you don't put it when you are exercising. You put it maybe masaluni, which is manicure, pedicure. So when you start talking about self-care, people forget
Yes, I addressed this when I spoke to women before about self-care.
Yeah.
That's actually a wrong mentality around self-care.
We follow. We are loyal men.
So those things are also self-care, but it's not limited to that.
Okay.
And we need to know that when it's self-care, when it's really self-care, it's not a once-off taking care of my nails. It's a routine.
Okay.
That's what brings a positive change, the self-care aspect. That actually brings something positive in your life when it becomes a routine.
Okay.
So that could be exercise, waking up in the morning because you're taking care of yourself physically. So that could be exercise. You know that I wake up in the morning, I do my exercise. That could be meditation, which I know many men don't like the Western type of meditation. But it could be meditation is not just that. It could be meditating in the Bible, the Word of God. Or you wake up, you do your prayer. So anything that will aid you, your mental health, your spirituality, your physical well-being, your psychological well-being. It could be reading a book that is aiding into your understanding of something, that you want to learn more. But also what I see our men really failing to do is that which you see on our status. Just going out to pamper yourself. So it could be scrubbing.
Pamper myself?
Well, you can go for scrubbing your feet.
Do you think we can do that?
You know what? My husband is the same. I did went for my nails. And when I went there, I found a man who was sitting next to me, who was doing his feet. And I came back and said, hey, go do your feet. Because then he was laughing. He was like, Why would I need to do my feet? But I think it's just a stigma that's out there.
But if I may ask you a question, when you guys go and do your feet, is this helping in any way, or it's just the mindset? What you know?
No, it actually makes us feel good.
Just the feeling.
It's not just, you know what, so we are talking about the psychological well-being as well.
Okay.
And we're talking about mental health.
Before we go, I got my own self-care that I do. I don't go to do my feet, but I walk on my feet. Like, take off my shoes, go to the park, maybe walk. Maybe...
yeah, that's a good one.
My feet...
It makes you feel grounded.
Yeah, I feel so good and grounded. And I feel like my feet are responding to that.
Yeah.
So instead of me going to...
But let's talk about why are you avoiding going there? I know grounding the feet is fine, but why can't men try new things? Because you haven't gone there and you don't know how it feels.
I probably think the world that we are living in now, not offending anyone, but it probably just begins to feel like, I don't know if I can use the word, gauge, for me to be seen having my nails done and then having my feet, like, I don't know.
But you see, in terms of the feet, I honestly don't know.
No, I actually want to do it, but I'm just representing them, but I don't want to question.
Yes,
yeah.
But you know what I would suggest for men, and I understand because self-care is also not doing something that makes you feel uncomfortable because it's no longer self-care.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to project here is that be willing to try new things, not the things that make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But you could go with mama, go with your wife,
and then I put those cucumbers here.
I'm trying to picture you. But yeah, if it means you need to put the cucumbers, put them and feel because the point is it should make you feel relaxed. Let me give an example of anxiety. The people who have anxiety and depression will probably understand it better. That there are small activities that you can do that makes you feel calm, that makes you feel relaxed, that brings back a happy feeling. Okay. So that's what happens to us when we do the nails. Okay? It's not just about how they look, but it brings a happy feeling. Okay. It makes you feel calm while they're doing your feet, while they're scrubbing your feet. And probably most of the times it's very, I would be surprised if someone would come out of a spa or somewhere and then start shouting, being angry. Most of the time that day, maybe men can tell us, can comment.
We are going for men, in the comment section.
Yeah, tell us the day that your wife goes for self-care, is it not more of a calm day?
Does he shout at you after?
Yes. Okay. But I do think that when you have those moments, when you do something that really makes you feel grounded, really makes you feel that my mind is coming back to where it should be, really makes you feel calm, that's what we need. But it should not be something that makes you feel comfortable. Not withholding that men, especially our African men, you need to try new things.
Okay. Self-care makes you love more. So I'm going to be impressing on that one as we move. I feel like one of the challenges that we have as men is thinking big, thinking of a bigger project. So probably sometimes if nails are done twice a month and they cost $60 every visit, that's about $120. And then your hair, if I need to have some styles, it's more expensive than to just have this plain haircut. I'm just beginning to calculate. So how can men balance self-care with the demands of work, family, and other responsibilities?
Oh, that one is easy. You create a routine. Okay. Because you need to remember that you always have these responsibilities. They are not going anywhere.
Right.
They are always there. We are going to expect you to be the head of the house. We are going to expect you to do what you've been doing. But just like what women do, create a routine. Create a routine of saying, maybe every morning or every evening, this is what I'm going to do. Okay. Or once a month, I'm going out. And what I wanted to say also is for you men who are African men, self-care could be creating a certain group of men, and then you just go out, in these parks, you do you'll be talking about issues. Because remember, we are saying self-care should aid into your mental health and your psychological well-being. And we also know that our men do not prefer going to a social worker, to a counselor. So for you to aid into your mental health, you probably just need to get something off your chest, which could be self-care, going out or taking chairs, going on a shed, you put your camp chairs, you just sit there and you talk about your men's issues and laugh, that could be self-care as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so creating a routine.
Yes.
That one helps probably in the area where, like exercising.
Yes.
And so forth. How about where the poor made up a I'm feeling like it's what for $100. Yeah, and I'm saying because.
Okay, yes. I think that one you just need to change perspective.
Okay.
Engage in education that is more talking about self-care issues about men, so that you understand that one is actually a big one. If there is a book that talks about self-care, maybe written by an African person, that talks about self-care and men, that can help you to change your perspective. Because if you can spend $60 buying Nando's or Binambora, you can also spend $60 scrubbing your feet. If you have found that scrubbing your feet helps you. So I think it's more of changing the mindset in that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think so. I think I mentioned that word, which I don't want to mention again. So my next question here is how you think societal expectations discourage men from prioritizing self-care, and how can this be addressed?
Yeah, I think that one is an issue, even from us women, like what we said. So it's men who our communities don't really see it as important.
Okay.
It's a laughable issue when men talk about self-care in terms of, for example, scrubbing feet, as we have said. So that comes from the community, and also women. If, let's say, I've asked for money for something and my husband would be like, no, I'm left with the one for scrubbing my feet, women would probably be angry.
Yeah.
Like a whole man is talking about. But in a normal sense, it's also very important. So I think society has got a big role to play in terms of their attitudes towards men practicing self-care.
Yeah.
And how we can address that, it's leaders of the community, probably starting with you guys, establishing something that normalizes self-care.
Okay.
And we don't want to put pressure. I always say this wherever I am, even in marriage issues. Do not put pressure on people to start scrubbing their feet when they don't understand it or they don't want to.
Yeah.
Start where they are. So where they are is, like what I said, having a group of men. In that group of men, then we are talking, guys, has anyone scrubbed their feet before? And how did you feel? So when you see someone sharing their experiences, I feel like it will resonate more with the men. So starting from small steps, I think that will help.
But I'm already looking at regular. Lipstick and this one's what
I want to lipstick.
Because what is happening is the world of business is becoming. I remember my wife uses black power. I remember when I was still in Zimbabwe, I went into this pharmacy and I saw black power for men being advertised.
Yes.
I said, are you crazy? Black power for men, but I believe there are some men who are actually using it. One day you wake up and you hear lipstick for men.
Yeah.
And so I'm just thinking maybe men need they're trying to put a boundary to say process for self-care.
And I think that's a good thing, because we don't want you to cross and go to the other side. But it does not mean that you don't form. That's why I'm saying what you are comfortable with. Because what we are ending up with is you guys doing Bora. That's what you call self-care, and that's it. That's your self-care, and that's it. That's what we are saying. No, it's not good, because it's not aiding in everything, in your physical, in your emotional, in your psychological. So when you look at you as a person, probably as an African man, what would you think? Sometimes it's just sitting down and think about what would make me feel good in my context, not going to the other side.
Okay.
But it's doing something. Remember, we said the definition is taking action.
Okay.
So what action are you taking?
So will it make sense when we go about Kumariako and not going to Maldives during the holiday self-care?
Well, it makes sense if you...
Or is there a budget limit to self-care?
No, I wouldn't say there is a budget limit, but it has to make sense. Because if you say you're going to Maldives next year, have you taken them to Maldives before?
Okay.
Okay? Have you taken anyone to holiday in this family? No. So I will begin to question, is this Maldives you only, or there's someone here accompanying you that I don't know? So they need to be budgeted. There's nothing wrong with having, and I think we need to normalize that. I wouldn't have a problem with my husband going on a solo weekend.
Okay.
Because there are some people who really need that time to be alone. Maybe he's praying, maybe he's just thinking about 2025, putting his goals down. If there's trust, there's no problem. And if he's not selfish to the point of just booking his holiday for the first time in these 18 marriages, 18 years of marriage,
self-care.
then you start with self-care.
Practice makes perfect.
It has to make sense. But yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, because I'm hearing you. Because especially when you are here, there are times, probably as men, you can be overwhelmed, especially when kids are always around. We are not used to that. We used to be baba. When you get home,
Exactly.
So it's 24/7 with your kids. So probably sometimes we need to clear our mind.
It's actually good for you to book in the city, even if it's one night. One day, one night, you're just there. You are just cleaning your mind, and you come back. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, let me shout it here. Women, did you hear that? Please let us go. If we decide, Maldives, but I'm still going to obviously to one spend all night to remove yeah. I think you are making sense there. And I'm not saying women are the limitation, but like I told you, men, we want to think big.
Yeah.
We don't want to focus on people who a simple story house. Maybe focus on you to take Roma patapata. So I don't want to get visa and I get patapata. To catch it dinner and I say, and then I'll take patapata 10 cents, 20 cents to dinner, 20 cents to short answer. So how do we make men to come down? For today, I'm going to always run for that day. Like as I'm going to focus on those self-care, not with our wives are becoming a hindrance. But we're always thinking big in our mindsets. I had plans that I had by the time I turned 40, I should have done this and that and that. Now I'm 42. I don't have those things. How do I deal with that as a man?
Okay, so that's a good one.
Yeah.
The best thing is to understand that whatever goals that you have, they are for you. Okay? They are for you and your family. So let's start with you. If you don't take care of yourself, if you don't practice self-care, and you are just focused on, I want to build this double story, or I want to build a museum, we know that when we don't take care of ourselves, mental health goes down. And we have a very big number of actually men who commit suicide. So if you pass away, who's going to live in the double story? Your wife with another man. So yes, so what I'm trying to say is that prioritize yourself. Because you can do better, like what I said. You can do better in building. You can do better in your plans when you are nourished, when you are well taken care of. So prioritize yourself.
Yeah, I was speaking. I've got a friend of mine who comes from Syria. He's a driver. So so sometimes when I take my kids for soccer, I do run around the pitch and so on. And he was talking to me and say, how can I start the routine of running?
Mm.
And I said, why don't you run? Why do you wake up in the morning to go
Mm.
running? He said, I'm a driver. I start working early and I finish late. And I said, why are you driving? He said, because that's where the money is.
Yeah.
Taking care of my family. And I said, driving and back problems are very serious issues.
Yes.
So the best way to deal with back problems is you walking or running around.
Yeah.
Because if you are not going to take care of that back,
Yeah.
you are not going to be driving in the next 10
Yes,
years.
for a
And you
long
won't be
time.
able to
Yes.
take care. So when you're talking about it, where self-care deals with the mindset, mental health, deals with the physical health as well, I think we as men we need to realize. But I'm suspecting men are now doing self-care more than women. Do you know that in the world the population of men is now more than women?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm thinking we are doing something different.
That's
because
good.
we are now living longer, or I don't know if more boys are being born.
Oh.
All right. You spoke about self-care. Someone who takes self-care as someone who can love more.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask what role self-care play in improving relationships, such as not just with your spouse, but with your family.
Yes.
Yeah, relationships. You talked about you can love more when you're doing self-care.
Yeah.
But how does it improve even relationships maybe with your children or other extended family members?
Yeah. So the thing is, relationships they thrive on communication and ability to ability to do a good conflict resolution. And the main source of this conflict, one of the main sources is stress. So if I'm stressed with a lot of things, I'm more likely to put that stress on my children, or on my wife, or on my relatives. When I did my PhD, I wrote something that is called the stress that the spillover hypothesis. Spillover hypothesis, which means that is stress that goes to your child or to someone without you intending this stress to go to them. And that is stress that is usually can be removed by you taking care of yourself.
I'm going to bring you back here and just talk on the topic of spillover hypothesis.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite topics.
Because it can happen from work, spills over to my house.
Yes.
You can continue, but I'll note this one and bring you back and talk about this topic.
Okay, yeah. So when you practice self-care, you are able to manage this spillover hypothesis very well. That the stress that you have yourself, you are able to regulate it so that it doesn't come to your little ones, to your family. Because, for example, let's say someone who takes 5 minutes to do meditation after work. I spoke to one of the white ladies at my work. She says when she's traveling by train from work, she actually disconnects from everything. She doesn't use laptops in the train like what other people do. She tries to disconnect from work, do meditation or listen to music. If she's saying a prayer, she's saying a prayer. By the time she gets home, she's not going to take all that stress on top of people who are home. So it actually helps you to regulate the stresses of the day and then speak to your children better or relate to your children better. It also helps I feel like if men practice self-care, it helps other people to practice self-care in your family. Because everything, I know maybe men sometimes may not take this as true, but everything that a man takes as serious within the home, other people, the children, the wife takes it as serious. Yeah. So if you practice it and you talk about the importance of it and you do it, your family can also do it. But most of all, it helps strengthen relationships because you are nourished. Like what I was saying, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So whoever that is within your circles, if you practice self-care, you're able to give positive energy to them. Yeah.
I loved it. I'm learning here. It's good to spend time with doctors. Spillover hypothesis. I didn't know there was something like that exists. And if self-care can help with that, then I believe that's all right. So do we consider something like therapy as self-care?
Yes.
Yes.
I would say I would change it to seeing a professional or seeing a counselor. Because the moment we say therapy, people connect it with problems.
Oh.
But when I used to practice, just after I finished my first degree, I practiced as a family therapist in South Africa. We used to have something called marriage enrichment. It does not have anything to do with problems
at all.
You are just approaching someone and say, hey, how can I keep the fire burning?
Okay.
And we'll give you ideas
about
how you can keep the fire burning. And that's self-care.
All right.
So there are actually ideas in terms of how you can care for yourself to aid your relationships.
All right.
So therapy individually is important because sometimes there are things that are going on for yourself individually. The unresolved trauma, not even from your relationships or from anything, maybe from childhood. There are some things that cause us to experience anxiety, experience depression, post-traumatic stress, all those things. They need therapy.
Yeah.
And attending therapy is actually self-care because you have recognized that something is going on with me and I need someone to talk to so that I can work on my mental health or maintain the health of my mental health.
Okay, so I had a follow-up question on that one. So how then can men overcome the stigma associated with seeking for mental health or emotional struggles? Seeking help for mental health or emotional struggles? Because I don't know whether that stigma comes from men themselves or from Susu, as men can have crutches, can have kadona, chimanya on the channel, soja, shinga. So now kind of I want to seek help because of struggles that I'm facing in life. There's generally that kind of stigma, especially amongst Africans. That's why you probably see that we are burying so many African men through suicide here because they're facing so many struggles alone. Sometimes you're going to work and you're hearing that your visa is going to be cancelled in the next 28 days. You've got family. You can't tell them. You want to carry everything on your shoulder. How do you deal or how can you encourage or how can men overcome the stigma associated with seeking help for their mental health or emotional struggles?
Yeah. So I can actually give you, when I once worked in a unit for people who were struggling with substance use. And one of the things that we established that's very difficult for anyone is seeking help. Making that first step to say I'm struggling. Many people struggle with that. But it is in this first step of seeking help that you find help. Because you will not find help if you do not seek help. So I know that it's hard, and I know that culturally, especially if it's issues of mental health, people are struggling. They don't want to come out to say, hey, I'm struggling. But unfortunately, that's the only way you can get help, when you say it. So I would say, try to say it, because taking a call for men and making an appointment, that's a hard one. But you can actually start with talking to someone whom you trust and just say, hey man, I'm struggling, I'm battling with this thought, or I'm struggling with this. If it's someone who would trust, that person can encourage you. So what I'm saying here is encouraging men to lean on each other. Because I know sometimes men don't want to tell women, but if you have a man whom you can speak to say, hey guys, I'm struggling with this, you probably find someone who has gone to therapy, who has gone for mental health counseling, who would say, actually I've done this before and I found it helpful. And those people can encourage you. But we need to understand that if we don't say, we will never be able to overcome the stigma. If we don't talk about it, people are not able to help us. So we need to talk about it.
Okay. Yeah. This is something that we learn. We learn every day. And we also strive to understand, especially where we are living this side. We need to understand the importance of that self-care, because I wanted to ask a person. There are things that men generally love. Would you consider them as self-care? We love when water, when my band, when my chest are kuya. What else do we love? Mabora, mabendi, vanomadoro, anaenda kuti mabawa power. Those three. Don't know, it's a form of self-care. Well,
yes, but not enough.
Okay.
vanomwa doro avo ndingavabvisa havo payesi. Because then, not that I'm against anything about that, but remember when we talk about self-care, we're talking about physical health as well.
Okay.
So you would need to consider, I don't know, proportions of what you drink, because it can damage your health. That's why you see that we have men who are being diagnosed with some kind of diseases, some who are diabetic. The doctor will actually ask you, do you drink?
Okay.
And encourage you to stop drinking. Okay. So I wouldn't say that one is self-care.
Okay.
But in terms of going to soccer, what's the other second one you say?
Band, music.
Yes, going to the band. I think that's self-care because it aids into your happiness. It aids into your emotional well-being.
Okay.
But we need to know that there are categories of this self-care. We did say emotional. We did say physical. We did say mental health, psychological, spiritual as well. So if you are just going to go to the band or go to the soccer, it's probably just a quarter of you meeting what you're supposed to meet in terms of your self-care. Number two, we said self-care is a routine. So band is not going to be a routine, isn't it?
You can't live a life in my band like every day.
Yes, you can't live a life. So make it easy for yourself. If you are creating a self-care routine, it needs to be not very difficult things, but things that you can do as a routine, ongoing.
Oh, okay.
And you can actually, after a month, it's like a jog in the morning. After a month, you can actually see a change.
Okay.
And you can review, do I need to increase minutes? Or do I need, that's a self-care routine. That's when it becomes self-care.
Okay.
The once-off things, yes, but not a very small fraction of it. Yes.
Okay, Dr. Rumbi. Thank you so much for coming today. I think I've heard enough of what I wanted to hear. To our viewers, if you have any questions, Dr. Rumbi is here. You can put the questions in the comment section. I think you may see managing to respond to some of your questions. But thank you so much for tackling this subject. I hope and believe we are going to see more men joining into these self-care routines. Yeah. And we are going to see less women putting these, what they call self-care, on their statuses, which makes us fear to go and do self-care. But thank you so much for coming into this program. Yeah. And I hope this is not the last time. Yes. I'm hoping you will be coming back again, because our men here, they ask questions and they come up with topics which they may want you to address. And remember, I said we are going to deal with the spillover hypothesis. I will research on it and bomb you with questions that we're going to deal with. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.